Hello, sports fans. I am Frodo, and welcome to episode 31 of the Stray Dog Footy podcast. I hope you are doing well and keeping safe. It is a new year, and what a great year it has been. Well, the first week looked promising anyway, and then the wheels came spiraling off the cart here in the States. But this is not a podcast about politics. We are here to talk about something much more important. Well, at least something I'd much rather be thinking about. And that is Australian football, preferably of the more canine variety, and I'm pretty excited about this episode. You know, I never thought I'd be doing a podcast, and then once I started doing that, I thought there is no way I could ever do an interview. Well, friends, in this very episode, now reverberating through your eardrums, I attempted just that. But more about that in just a few minutes. First, let's talk a little red, white, and blue footy news. Okay, ladies first. The Western Bulldogs AFLW squad recently announced their leadership group, with Ellie Blackburn being retained as captain once more. Just seems a no-brainer to me, but one must go through the motions after all. Joining her as vice-captain is perennial favorite Brooke Loughlin. And rounding out the 2021 leadership group in alphabetical order, we have Ashley Guest, Bailey Hunt, Izzy Huntington, Kirsty Lamb, and last but certainly not least, Bonnie Toogood. Congratulations, ladies. Well deserved, everyone. And with no time to waste, the new leadership group led their side out on the grass of the Punt Road Oval against Richmond on Saturday against the Tigers. Unfortunately, I was unable to find a broadcast of the match, but feel I was able to piece together some of the action. Thanks go out to several people who posted about the match, and especially Barry Webster, who runs the Western Bulldogs AFLW and VFLW Facebook group, and who is always a valuable and trusted source for all things women's footy. Unfortunately, the match didn't start out exactly as we had hoped. Going against a strong wind, the Bulldogs were unable to hit the scoreboard at all, while the Tigers finished the first quarter with 2 goals and 5 behinds. In fact, it wasn't until halfway into the second quarter when Amelie van Oosterwijk slotted our first goal from a set shot about 35 meters out. At halftime, the Tigers led by 2-6 over the Doggies with 1 goal and 4 behinds. The third quarter amounted to a defensive arm wrestle, with Richmond adding just 3 more behinds to the Bulldogs' 1. So starting the final term, the Tigers were up 21-11. Then, as we say here in the South, the Bulldogs opened up a can of whoop-ass. Captain Ellie Blackburn inspired her team with bone-crunchy tackles and courageous mothers, and both she and Vice-Captain Brooke Loughlin each slotted 2 fourth-quarter goals. Other mentions must go out to rookies Jess Fitzgerald and Sarah Hartwig in their first game of AFLW footy. And second-year players Izzy Grant and Nell Morris-Dalton were particularly strong in the second half. As expected, Izzy Huntington and Bonnie Toogood created havoc for the Richmond defenders, while Lauren Spark, Bailey Hunt, and Ashley Guest shored up our defense nicely. Perhaps the goal of the match was a quick mark and play on with a curling kick for goal on the run by Deanna Berry. The sleeve one apparently seemed like a red, white, and blue blur at times, and I know from watching her in the past that her efforts are often underreported, if not underappreciated. In the end, the Bulldogs fought back and won by a final score of 6 goals, 7 behinds for 43 points, to Richmond's 3-11-29. But unfortunately, it wasn't all great news as Kim Rainey went out with a concussion in the first half. Yes, folks, women's footy is indeed a contact sport, just like the men's, and injuries will sometimes occur. Sending all my best wishes for a speedy recovery out to Kim. Now, I may have touched on this before, but when we played the AFLW's Tigers, it is a bit bittersweet for me, as I suspect it may be for many Bulldogs fans. Several former players, in fact former Bulldog stars, one arguably once our best in Conti and one once the captain in Brennan, to name just 2, currently wear the accursed yellow and black. Now I understand that when a league expands this will happen. Players will and do move around. And many will ask, what about loyalty to your club? Fair enough. One thing that most fans love about Chris Grant is that he stayed with his club despite much more lucrative offers from clubs who at the time were more successful. But he is now a legend at the Bulldogs, and not just for his actions on the field. However, let's say we were talking about the regular workforce for a minute, where you and I and most of the rest of us make our living. Here we are, doing our best day in and day out, and then a new opportunity presents itself. Would anyone really criticize you for chasing it? Even if it meant leaving your old company and coworkers behind? Probably not, right? And in the end, the window of opportunity professional footy affords is relatively quite small and may just slam shut at any moment. To me, I'd say every player has the right to be traded to another club if she or he feels it is the best fit for them. And me, as a fan and supporter of them and their club, have every right to feel heartbroken as well. That being said, I wish Conti, Brennan, and in fact every former Bulldog all the best in whatever they do, wherever they go. Except, of course, should they be lining up against my beloved club. But I believe this recent come-from-behind win will give our young Lady Bulldogs a bit of experience and the whole side a lot of confidence going into the season opener against St. Kilda on Friday, January 29th. I, for one, cannot wait. In other news, the boys are back at it hard on the practice field, and new members of the squad, both of the rookie and more seasoned kind, seem to be integrating well. I have to say, I really love seeing Adam Treloar in the tricolors. I'm very much looking forward to his debut, quite possibly against his former club, Collingwood, in round 1 of the season. Also, I'm not sure when exactly Jamara Ugelhagen will make his debut, but I know just about every Doggy supporter, including myself, hopes the coaches feel him ready sooner rather than later. Feels like it has been an eternity since he first showed up on the radar until he was finally drafted at number 1. And we are chomping at the bit to see what he can do in the big league. Well, I'm not sure Bulldogs use bits, but you know what I'm saying. Another player that is somewhat dear to me who looks to be going to have a breakout year is Josh Shackey. If nothing else, by how much he has bulked up in the offseason. Coupled with his natural abilities, a fair amount of added muscle to help him move defenders aside should be exciting indeed. I'd be missing my short shorts if I was an opposing player and my coach, in his infinite wisdom, had slid a magnet with my name on it over next to Shacky's. Now, on the injury front, Toby McLean seems to be healing well just 4 months out after his ruptured ACL, and has already started running. Ordinarily, this sort of injury is about a 9-month ordeal to recover from, so I am hopeful that we will see him back out on the field before too far into season 2021. Okay, so for this episode's Bulldogs bio, I thought we would try something a little bit different. Rather than me chin-wagging along all day, I thought we would let a relatively new American fan, supporter, and member of the Western Bulldogs tell us a little bit about herself. So, if you would, please give a listen to this interview with Sydney Quinlan. Hey, Sydney, thank you for joining us today on the Stray Dog Footy podcast. How are you and how are things in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada?
Hi, thank you for having me. It is actually quite chilly lately. Today was like our first warm day, but it's been in the low 50s, surprising for the desert.
Yeah, a lot of people probably wouldn't even realize that Las Vegas gets pretty cold at certain times of the year.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that Vegas got cold until my first year here.
Yeah. So, full disclosure, you and we've actually met before in person, haven't we?
Yes, and I would say that we're a little closer than just acquaintances.
Yeah, we are indeed related, yes. Yeah, so before we get into the footy, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm here in Las Vegas. My husband is stationed here in the military, so that's what brought us out here. I am a licensed veterinary technician. I went to school and got my associates for it and had to pass a board. I own 4 cats myself, a bearded dragon, and some fish. I am currently in school, getting my bachelor's, so that's pretty exciting and hectic. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
And you recently, so when did you move to Las Vegas?
We got here in May of 2017, so we're
Okay.
almost going on 4 years.
Wow, time flies. Time flies.
Yes.
I guess we wouldn't mind forgetting most of what happened this last year anyway. But so okay, the number one question that every footy supporter seems to have that they want to have answered by an American footy fan is just how and when did you discover Australia rules football, and what about it drew you to it, and what makes it worth following a game that's only played professionally on the other side of the world?
Well, of course, I would see your posts, so I kind of knew there was a sport, at least, that you had followed very closely, and it just from glancing kind of looked like a little bit of like soccer, mixed in with maybe like rugby or something. Um, but I really got into it the past year when COVID hit for quarantine reasons, and with following all of your posts on Facebook. So I really got into it. It's really exciting. I really love all aspects of it. It's fast paced. That's the kind of sports that I like, which would also include like American hockey. Um, so yeah, that's this past year is kind of when I really took the dive into it.
A lot of Americans discovered the sport due to COVID, especially when all the other American sports shut down this year. Which is kind of reason I started this podcast, is I wanted to, showcase the Bulldogs a little bit to these new fans. So that brings up the follow-up question: is that why you're a Bulldog supporter? Can I claim you as a win and put that in a win column for myself?
Absolutely.
Yes. We're always looking for converts. So how big a fan would you say you are? Would you say you're just casual, or are you getting pretty into it? Are you a diehard, somewhere in between? And with the time difference, do you actually watch the matches live? I know you've done some, or do you prefer to watch them later recorded?
So at the moment, I would say I'm still just pretty casual, with my busy schedule of work and school.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to be able to stay up since they're pretty early in the morning for me. But the times that it does line up with my schedule, I tend to watch it live, just because I feel like that's a little more exciting, to do.
Absolutely.
And if I do have to watch it later, I tend to stay off of all my social media because I don't want any spoilers.
Oh, it's impossible not to get some sort of update sometimes, but yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Um, do you have a favorite player currently?
um, so with the couple games that I did watch, I definitely liked Cody Whiteman, just
Uh-huh.
because I watched his first game being on the first time, and it was just a fantastic game to watch. Um,
That
and
that
then also
that was
for my
quite the debut that he
yeah, it
had,
really
wasn't it?
was.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
That's okay. And so also for my birthday, you had posted Josh giving me a shout out. So I thought that was really, really cool. So he kind of became one of my favorites as well.
Josh Shackey is so awesome with his time
Yeah.
doing cameos. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. He's. I had a great conversation with him when I was at the kennel, and every now and then, whenever he does a cameo, he always answers my messages back. So he's just an awesome guy. Very, very forthcoming with his time, and he's very friendly. So, all right. So Josh and Flea Waitman, very cool. Very cool. How about the AFLW? Have you been watching, or are you planning to follow the Lady Bulldogs at all?
I definitely do want to follow them. I haven't really. I've just been getting updates off of the Bulldogs Instagram page. So I can kind of see a little bit through them, but I haven't fully started following them yet.
Yeah, I believe, when COVID hit, their season was pretty much, just canceled right then. So you probably wouldn't have had a chance to watch anything anyway. So yeah, I'm very excited. Just in less than 2 weeks, their first, they just actually had their practice game today, and their regular season starts in just about 12 days or so. And they're looking really good. They're more fit than I've ever seen. And the a lot of people say, I don't like women's sports. It's not the same as the men's, and it's not the same. But it's very exciting, and the skill level has improved so much just since it started just a few years ago. So I definitely think it's worth checking out for anybody interested in footy. Um, so do you show your Bulldog pride? I know you have a little bit of Bulldogs merchandise, but is there anything I'm not aware of that you've gotten, or?
I'm just waiting on my membership box. I had decided to elect for a few things on there to show my
Awesome.
pride, and
Uh,
yeah,
it,
so I'm excited.
it does my heart good to know that you renewed your membership. That's so important for the club too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's the cheaper way to get the Watch AFL app. So, to watch the games live or recorded whenever you want. So it's definitely the way to go. Um, yeah, I think everybody's is kind of waiting. Usually, a lot of people at this time would have gotten their packs by now, but COVID's just probably put everything a little bit behind. So I'm sure it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do watch the footy, are you a lone wolf, or are you part of a pack? Do you have anybody that you've kind of drug into it with you, or how about your husband?
I did. So it kind of depends, of course, on their schedules as well. But I do watch it with my husband, and then one of my roommates actually got quite into it with me as well. So as long
Awesome.
as the timing is right, we're all sitting there being excited, yelling, just getting really into the game.
It's so much fun, isn't it? It's great when you have friends over. Yeah, always for the grand final, I usually have a buddy or two come over and watch it with me. And again, the timing is not ideal. It's definitely not an easy dinner time activity, but like you said, it's so much fun and exciting. Yeah. Um, so um, Kind of a strange question. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. Are you aware of the United States Australian Football League, or the USAFL?
I'm not.
Okay. I think they just added. They might be up to like 46, 47, 48 teams in the league, all across the United States, and there's actually a team called the Las Vegas Gamblers. So if you ever want to go check them out, I don't know if they have a women's team as of yet, but it's probably coming sooner or later. And would you ever consider going out and giving it a kick yourself?
I'm not too sure. I think it would be fun to maybe like practice or just for fun, but maybe not like seriously.
Yeah, and any local clubs that I've talked to, it's always like, come on out. We don't care about your experience, your fitness, your ability, anything. Just come on out, have fun. There's no pressure. So if anybody wants to do that, I definitely recommend it. Wish I had a team a little bit closer to myself. They're either direction I go, it's at least a 2-hour drive, but you could at least maybe go out and check out one of their games when the season starts up again for them too. So
Yes, I definitely will now. That's super exciting that there's a team here. I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if they have as many fans as the Raiders yet, but or the Golden Knights, but
Yeah.
to spread the word is one of our missions. And it's so important, and it's just usually the game sells itself once people find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Sydney, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. I think that's all the questions I had kind of prepared for this. Is there anything else you want to ask or add to the conversation?
At the moment, I don't think so, but I definitely really appreciate you letting me be a part of your podcast.
Thank you so much. Regular listeners will probably realize that this is the actually the first interview that I've done for this podcast, and it's was really nice having a familiar and friendly voice on the other end for sure. I'm hoping
Well,
to
it
do
was
some more.
great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And again, keep in touch and go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs.
Well, I don't know about you, but I always enjoy hearing about other fans' footy journey, especially when they lead to the kennel. And I know it might have been a bit cowardly of me to do the Stray Dog Footy podcast's first interview ever with my niece's daughter, but she said she would love to do it, so why not? Again, thank you for taking the time away from your studies to chat a little bit with me, Sydney. So I think that should just about wrap things up for this episode. As always, I thank you so much for listening. I would be so very thankful if you would be kind enough to share a link to this podcast with your friends and family. Maybe even give me a like and or a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. It goes a long way towards making the podcast more visible to other footy fans as well as the various podcast listening platforms. As always, you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at A Stray Dog Footy and by email at straydogfooty@yahoo.com. Also, you can check out the podcast episodes on YouTube on my channel called Stray Dog Footy Podcast. And if you were inspired by Sydney and Las Vegas to share your own Bulldogs journey on this podcast, no matter how long or short, or how and where it started, I would absolutely love to talk to you. Australians, Americans, wherever you may be, please get in touch with me to schedule an interview. Having now been on both sides of this, I promise it is really fun for everyone involved. As usual, I feel it prudent to mention that I am not endorsed by or officially affiliated with either the Australian Football League or the Western Bulldogs Football Club, beyond being a huge fan and supporter. Likewise, I am not endorsed or affiliated with Pagan and Rejected, but I am a fan of their great music. I would like to thank them for the use of their song Red, White, Black, and Blue, which I used a portion of, like always, as the intro to this episode. I will also play us out to their entire song, and of course leave a link in the show notes so you can find their great music as well. Before I go, I want to mention a few other podcasts you might want to check out. Coach Donnie Hess has been doing a series of interviews with American footy fans of every club in the competition, and I'm pretty sure there is a Bulldog edition coming up soon. You can find all the episodes on your favorite podcast player or on YouTube by searching for either for Fourth and Long or Donnie's Disposal, respectively. Also, my new, now not so secret and not really guilty pleasure is I recently started listening to a pod called Australian Histories Podcast, where the name is pretty spot on as to what they are talking about. Jenny over there delves quite deep into various interesting historical topics, and they also have a great support site at www.australianhistoriespodcast.com.au. And that's histories in the plural, as in ending with IES. Having done just a smidgen of research myself for my podcast, I really appreciate the amount of work that must go into each and every episode of theirs. I am currently about 2/3 through the Ned Kelly episodes, and I am enjoying learning a lot more about this iconic and historic Victorian character tremendously. I recommend giving the podcast a listen if you are at all interested in Australia or are just a history buff. I have admitted it before that when I first started following the AFL, what I knew about Australia pretty much amounted to what two crocodile hunters named Dundee and Irwin had told me through the camera, and I am finding this an easy and fun way to remedy my ignorance. Go check it out. Alright guys, talk to you soon. Thanks again, Sydney. And remember out there, if you want to share your Bulldog story, all you have to do is let me know. Take care. Cheers.